Welcome back to Nate's Auto Repair. Today we have a Volvo XC90 with a 3.2 liter that has a code for the fuel pressure sensor. So in this video, we're going to show you guys where to locate it and how to replace it. Just going to hop right into it. Pop your hood, come under here, you have a cover right here. We're going to pull this cover off. All you have to do is pull it straight up and it's going to come out. And that will show you your fuel rail. This is your fuel rail and this is your fuel pressure sensor. It's very simple to replace. We're going to pull this plug off. You have a tab on the side here. So we're going to press that tab in with our thumb. You may have to get a screwdriver because these are usually on there pretty tight. And then we're just going to pull it straight off. Alright, so there's your plug. This is the tab right here. You press that tab in. It lifts up. So you can pull it off of there. You got that off. Now they don't give you much room, guys. There's a little Torx bit underneath the sensor here, but you really don't have room to get in there to get that off. So what I think we're gonna do, we're gonna take these 1, 2, 3 bolts out. I believe they're 8mm, and we're just gonna pull this fuel rail out a little bit to get to that Torx bit. If you guys have watched any of my other videos, you know what I'm gonna say next. Spray it down with WD-40 or any rust penetrator that you can. Let's get it in all these bolts, get it on the sensor, get in there, and then try to get it where the rail goes into the engine. So there's little O-rings there, just gonna go all through it. Get your 8mm. I have a little gun I'm gonna use to get it off a little quicker. Put these where we won't lose them. I usually put them on the cowl up here. So guys, if your car has been running, you may want to let it sit for a while and let the pressure go down in the rail, or take your fuel pump relay out and crank it and let the pressure run out. But otherwise, you can continue on. So what I did next, I came over here with a little pry bar and I pried right here to get it to pop out. And then we're just going to work at it all the way through and try to get it to pop out to where we can get that Torx bit out. So if you just pull it out, be careful not to mess up the fuel injectors. See, I'm leaking a little bit of fuel, but this car has been off for about 16 hours now, so there's not that much pressure in there. So now we can see our Torx bit on the side right here. Little bolt with a Torx bit on the end of it. Right here. So I am going to figure out what size it is for you guys, and then we will continue. But first, spray it. Alright guys, so what you need is a T25 Torx bit. We have one here. I have it on my electric ratchet, and we're gonna get this thing off real quick and move along. Put this up there so we don't lose it. And then we're just gonna slowly wiggle this out. There is an O-ring that you're gonna have to get it out with, so you gotta be kind of careful. Don't want to break it inside there. Alright guys, so here's what I did. Now it's cheap plastic, right? So you don't want to break it. But what I did was I put a screwdriver in between the sensor and the rail, and I just kind of turned it back and forth to get it to pop out. You do want to be gentle though, because it's plastic, it will break, and that's the last thing you're going to want to happen. So now we got it out. You can see we have an O-ring there. So our new one will also have an O-ring. We're going to lube that up. Maybe a little super lube, or you know, just put some fuel or oil on it or something to get it to slide in there easily and not mess up that O-ring. So there's your part number for your new pressure sensor, 31272732. Basically it's just a Bosch part, so you could probably get this from any parts store really, rather than going to Volvo It was actually a lot cheaper from Volvo though. So if you can wait for it and you look up the prices and the Volvo one is cheaper, I would definitely say wait for it. All right, so here we go. We're gonna put this back in. Got lube around our O-ring. We're gonna stick this right in here. Get it lined up for, let's see if we can find it, your Torx bit bolt, Torx head bolt. You might have to turn it to line it up. You'll feel it go in though. Start it by hand. Just like anything else, guys, if you work on cars, you know, anything, you start by hand so you don't cross thread. So now we're gonna use our electric ratchet. See how I'm gonna do this with one hand. And you don't have to go super tight, guys. You just put it in, get it as tight as you can with your gun or your hand, and then you're basically just gonna hand tighten it to be, you know, where it's not gonna move around at all. All right, guys, so now we have to get our fuel rail back in. So you're gonna have to line up all of your O-rings and fuel injectors and get them back into the holes that they came out of. You do want to be careful. These O-rings will leak if they are not in right, and these injectors will break because they are only plastic if they're not in right. So we got them all in. You can see they kind of go back kind of to slide them in the holes. Now we're going to get our bolts. We're going to put the bolts in, get them started, and then run them in. You can see they're in. We're going to just start them with our gun. Again, you don't want to go super tight. Just in case one of these injectors is not in right, you don't want to make it super tight and end up breaking the injector. So again, I'm going to get a ratchet and tighten these by hand now. All right, and the last thing you don't want to forget, especially if you're trying to diagnose a trouble code, you want to plug the electrical connector back in, or else you're still going to have codes and issues. So you're going to push that on until you feel it, the tab click. That's on there good. Now we're going to go inside, we're going to turn the key on, let it build up fuel pressure, and come back out here and make sure none of this is leaking. All right, guys, so we are in the Volvo. We're going to turn key on, let it stay on for a couple minutes, build up fuel pressure. Turn the AC down. So yeah, we're going to let it build up some fuel pressure. We're going to turn the key off, turn it back on again, let it build up a little more fuel pressure. You guys can start up the car and check it that way, but in my case, it's 95 degrees outside, and I have more work to do under the engine, so I don't want this engine to get smoking hot on me. So we're just gonna do it like this for now, and then I'll check it again later with the car running. But for you guys, we're just gonna do it like this and show you this way, and with it running would be the same difference, other than the fact that the engine's gonna be on. So you would just run it for a couple minutes, maybe drive it, pull over, turn it off, and recheck it. So we're gonna turn the key off, back on again. Get that fuel pressure built up. And we will go out. Come out to the engine bay. Make sure none of these O-rings are leaking. Doesn't seem like they are. So if they were leaking, you would basically be taking this rail back off, putting some more lube on all of those O-rings, getting them back in straight until they do not leak. Cannot stress enough, guys, that is super dangerous to drive this with those leaking and getting fuel all over everything. Now for the last step, we're gonna take our cover, line it back up with the cap, just press down on all four corners, you'll feel it snap into the spots. This one's already in. And that is it for this, guys. So guys, here's the conclusion. We started off with the check engine light for a fuel pressure sensor. I believe it was high voltage or something, some random code. I looked at the live data, it wasn't working right. Nowhere near as high as it should have been. So we replaced it, check engine lights off, not coming back on. All of the live data is good now. This car seems like it's going to be good to take to the customer, other than the other miscellaneous work I have to do to it. There will be videos on, I'm going to do the evap purge solenoid after this, so I'll post a video on how to do that as well. Just a separate one, so it's all different stuff. If this video helped you guys out, please hit the like button, hit the comment button, and hit the subscribe button. And as always,